Hey guys, today we're going to be doing 11.2 volume of prisms and cylinders. One thing I want to point out is Cavalier's principle. It just says that if you have two-dimensional figures that have the same height and their cross-sectionals are area is the same every single level, then the volume will be the same. Now, for every single figure that we have, for your volume formula for prisms and cylinders, it will always be V is equal to your area of the base times your height. So as you can see here, I have a rectangular prism, a triangular prism, and two cylinders. No matter which shape that you have, you will always use this formula. The thing that makes it a little bit different is the base. Now, if you have a rectangular base, you know it's base times height. For a triangle, it's going to be 1/2 base times height. For a square, you know that it's going to give you base times height, but you could say base squared, because remember, for a square, all of the sides are going to be equal. For a trapezoid, it would be 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times your height, because you have two bases when you're talking about a trapezoid. For a circle, it would be pi r squared, and that's it. So let's go ahead and go through the questions that I have here. For this one, like I said, this is going to be a rectangle because of the fact that the two bases are different sizes. In order for it to be a square, they would have to be the same. So I'm going to write V equals my base, which is 6, my height of the base, which is 5, and then the height of the shape, which is 14. So in my calculator, I will literally hit 6 times 5 times 14. Let me do that again. 6 times 5 times 14. There we go. And that gives me 420. So my volume for this particular one is going to be 420 inches cubed. And remember, volume means how much you could fill up a particular shape. For the next one, my base is a triangle. Triangle's formula is 1/2 base times height. My base in this particular case is 5. My height is going to be 12. I know that because of the 90-degree right here. So I'm going to do volume equals 1/2 my base times my height of my base times the height of the shape, which is 14. Now there's multiple ways in which you could do this. You could do 5 times 12 times 14 and then divide by 2, or you could do what's half of 5 and then multiply the other numbers. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 5 times 12 times 14, and that gives me 420. So I know, again, my answer has to be 420 inches cubed. Now for a cylinder's base is a circle, so I'm going to be using pi r squared. Remember, pi is represented by 3.14. So I'm going to do volume equals pi, my r, remember radius is half of your circle, so 5 squared times 11. So in my calculator, I'm going to hit 3.14 times 5 times 5 times 11, and that gives me a volume of 863.5 meters cubed. For the next one, this is an oblique cylinder. The only reason why it's so oblique is because of the fact that it's leaning. When you're looking at one that's going straight up and down, that means that it's a right cylinder. So there's no real difference in between the two if they give you the height. And in this particular case, they did. Now, I need to look at my base. My base, they're telling me my diameter is 8. Diameter means it goes from one side of the circle to the other. So I need to find out the radius. So what I'm going to do is cut 8 in half. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So I'm going to put volume equals pi 4 squared times 10. So in my calculator, I am going to put 3.14 times 4 times 4 times 10, and it gives me a volume of 502.4 feet cubed. All right. Sometimes they're going to give us the volume, and they're going to ask us to find out what the sides will be. So this one says the volume of a cube is 8 cubic inches. What is the side length? So I know a cube is a square. That means all of the sides have to be exactly the same. So although I could put 8 equals base times height times another height, I know that all 3 of these numbers are going to be exactly the same. So because of that, I'm just going to write 8 is equal to x to the third, because I know x times x times x is going to give me x to the third power. The opposite of x to the third is taking the cubed root of it. So the cube root in your calculator, if you have one like this, all you'll do is hit 8 second, hit this function key, and then push 3, and you get an answer of 2. So my answer would be 2. Now, if you're using your cell phone, for your cell phone, all you need to do is hold it sideways. And if you notice here, it actually has a cube root button. So all you would need to do is hit 8 and then hit the cube root button, and it gives you 2. So just make sure if you're using your cell phone or you're using a calculator that you know which function key you need to hit. All right, for the next one, it says the volume of a cylinder. Remember, a cylinder means that my base has to be a circle, is 552.64 cubic inches. What is the radius if the height is 8 inches? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write my equation. I know it's going to be 552.64 is equal to pi r squared times 8. I need to first get rid of my pi or my 8. It's totally up to you which one you want to do, but I'm going to get rid of the pi first. So remember, when you're doing that, you're going to hit 552.64 divided by 3.14, because that is what pi is. So as you can see, it's 176 is equal to r squared times 8. Now I need to get rid of the 8. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. So 176 divided by 8 gives me 22. So I know 22 equals r squared, but I just want r. In order to get just r, I need to take the square root of 22. So I'm going to hit the square root button on my calculator, and it gives me 4.69. So my answer here for my radius would be 4.69. And that's my answer. For today's lesson, you guys are going to be doing the IXL on volume of prisms and cylinders. Make sure if you have any questions that you get on my live in between the hours of 11:30 to 12:30 or 2 to 3. Keep in mind that my password is Wilson with a capital W. Have a good day. Bye.